Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a totally crucial area of biology, Chapter 9, covering digestion and assimilation. But listen, we aren't just going to look at the theory in a vacuum. We're going to do a detailed, step-by-step breakdown of a specific exam scenario, SPM Trial Paper Question 7. We'll be using the exact textbook terminology and the official marking scheme, just to make absolutely sure you know precisely how to secure full marks.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Ever wonder how a simple fast food meal actually gets broken down inside your body? And if that kind of lifestyle becomes a habit, how could it eventually lead to a total system failure like liver cirrhosis? We're going to link the biological journey of your food directly to the severe health consequences we'll be exploring in the exam scheme a bit later.
Here is our blueprint for today. 1. Physical and chemical digestion. 2. Nutrient absorption in the ileum. 3. The liver and assimilation. 4. Liver cirrhosis and detoxification. And finally, 5. Diet and health issues.
Section 1. Physical and chemical digestion. Now, the textbook requires a crystal clear contrast here. Physical digestion, that's strictly the mechanical breakdown of food to form smaller particles. Think chewing in your mouth and the churning action of peristalsis. On the flip side, chemical digestion is the decomposition process of complex molecules into simple ones. And the absolute key phrase you must remember here is that it involves enzyme-catalyzed reactions, specifically hydrolysis. So, let's walk through this chemical pathway step by step. It all starts in the mouth, where salivary amylase hydrolyzes starch into maltose. Next, down in the stomach, food mixes with gastric juice, where pepsin digests proteins, eventually forming the semi-fluid mixture we call chyme. Finally, in the small intestine, the pancreas secretes enzymes like pancreatic amylase, trypsin, and lipase. But crucially, and examiners absolutely love this detail, the liver produces bile, which flows into the duodenum to emulsify lipids. Basically, it breaks lipids down into tiny droplets, vastly increasing the surface area for lipase to do its job.
Section 2. Nutrient absorption in the ileum.
What's really interesting here is how perfectly adapted the inside of the ileum is for this specific job. It's covered in these tiny projections called villi. Now, if you get a structured question on adaptations, you want to use these exact phrases. The epithelial layer is one cell thick to accelerate nutrient absorption. The microvillus provides a massive surface area. There's a network of blood capillaries to transport digested products. And the lacteal carries droplets of fatty acids and glycerol. Literal gold for scoring marks right there.
Okay, so the make or break point here is knowing which nutrient takes which path. Memorizing this visual map is vital for your exam. Blood capillaries absorb your water-soluble nutrients, glucose, amino acids, water, and vitamins B and C. Meanwhile, the lacteal is the dedicated pathway for fat-soluble items, fatty acids, glycerol, and vitamins A, D, E, and K, which are all absorbed via simple diffusion. Seriously, memorize this split. It is highly testable.
Section 3. The liver and assimilation. All right, shifting into exam blueprint mode. Looking at question 7A from the SPM trial paper, you're asked to name organ X and state its function in lipid digestion. Based on the marking scheme, simply identifying organ X as the liver gets you 1 mark. Stating that its function is to produce or secrete bile, that earns you the 2nd mark. Super simple, direct, and straightforward if you know your anatomy.
Before we hit the next part of the question, we've got to lock down the strict textbook definition of assimilation. Assimilation is the process occurring in cells where absorbed nutrients are used to form complex compounds or structural components. And the liver, well, it plays a massive regulatory role in this whole process. Which brings us right to question 7B. The question asks you to compare the assimilation process of glucose in the liver versus in body cells. Now, the marking scheme demands very specific contrasts. For the liver, you must state that glycogen is stored there, which helps maintain blood glucose levels. Compare that to the body cells, specifically muscle cells. Glycogen is stored in the muscles and is actively used when those muscles perform vigorous activity, helping to maintain enough supply of energy. Presenting these exact differences will secure you full marks, no doubt about it.
Section 4. Liver cirrhosis and detoxification. Now for the system failure part of our arc. In question 7C of the trial paper, we are introduced to N6Z. He suffers from liver cirrhosis, a really severe condition where healthy liver cells are actually replaced by scarred cells, usually due to factors like alcohol or toxic substances. The question asks us to describe the health problems he's facing. So think about the liver's critical textbook role in detoxification.
And this brilliantly illustrates how textbook theory turns into actual exam points. According to the scheme, to score here, you need to state that cirrhosis leads to the accumulation of toxic substances in the liver. Why? Because the process of detoxification is reduced or just straight up cannot occur. Ultimately, this leads to blood poisoning or any related severe symptom. Give them 2 of these specific points, and boom, you get your 2 marks.
Section 5. Diet and health issues.
Moving on to lifestyle consequences. The textbook highlights a few key eating disorders. First up is anorexia nervosa. This is formally defined as an eating disorder where individuals severely restrict their food intake due to an intense psychological fear of gaining weight. This extreme restriction inevitably leads to severe malnutrition, and if it isn't treated, it can absolutely be fatal. Next is bulimia nervosa. The textbook defines this as a condition where individuals consume large amounts of food, but, being obsessed with controlling their body weight, they follow it up by vomiting or using laxatives. The specific biological risks you absolutely must remember for the exam are severe dehydration, nutritional imbalances, and eventually things like cardiovascular disease or kidney failure. Then there's a lesser-known but equally critical concept in the syllabus: muscle dysmorphia. This is a condition where individuals perceive their body as being far too small or lacking enough growth. This immense psychological pressure leads them to subject themselves to extreme weightlifting training, and crucially, they might abuse steroids or unverified muscle-building supplements, which can severely damage their internal organs.
And that brings us to the final hurdle of our exam breakdown, question 7D. The question asks you to justify why the fast food lifestyle of a character named Pawan B is dangerous. Let's directly translate the marking scheme into a checklist for you. You need to write that a diet high in fast food increases blood glucose levels, which causes diabetes mellitus. On top of that, it increases body mass, causing obesity. Finally, this places her at a high risk for cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, or joint-related issues like arthritis. Hit those exact terms, and you've perfectly justified the lifestyle risks for the examiners.
So we've tracked the whole journey today, from the mechanical chewing in the mouth through the precise absorption in the ileum to the critical assimilation and detoxification happening in the liver, right down to the severe health consequences of a poor diet. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought. Based on this incredibly precise, uncompromising biological blueprint we just went over, how would your own daily diet score if it were graded on a biology exam? Keep that in mind, keep studying those marking schemes, and I will catch you in the next explainer.